need no more. I need you here with me forever.
AWOL it actually stands for another way of living. So it was just this point in my life where I wanted to create something more transcendent, and just different, separating myself from the norm, you know, and just really just breaking through some rules. I could say, you know, going AWOL, exactly, breaking through some rules.
Is that like for you? Is this like the biggest step you've had so far in your career as to dropping your first EP? Is that?
Man, it actually is. You know, I come from just different backgrounds, you know, music making, different situations. So it being my first EP, it just had to be right here, you know, in the heart, and what the motive was for it. So, you know, another way of living actually reflects, you know, my life. You know, I'm living differently than how I used to. And it's kind of cool because it's, you know, double entendre. You know, I'm actually going AWOL.
Yeah, and I really felt that through the music. Like, you
Right.
really do have that feeling of renewal and fulfillingness.
Right,
Like, in your
right.
tracks, you feel like a new person.
Right.
Like, you're getting somewhere that's not where you used to be. Like, you're
Yeah.
taking this new path.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to? Like, what got you to that point where you're just like, I need a new direction? And like, what made you settle or like find this path
Right.
and make it yours?
You know, I mean, it wasn't all of just me. You know, it wasn't like I came up with this mondo plan to put out this project. It was more of, you know, my walk with God changing, and that actually getting tighter, and then me understanding, you know, my gifts and what they're really made for and what they're really used for. You know, we all have gifts. I have a gift. You have a gift. You know, it's just about finding it and owning it. So with that being said, it was just like, you know, one time I just prayed and I just said, God, what do you want to use this gift for? You know, like, I mean, I'm making all this music, and at that time there was, you know, some situations, some really big situations that I had on the table that just didn't go through, and I just wondered and I beat myself up about it, and I was really down about it, and it was just like, why aren't these things happening? You know, you brought me this far, you know, what is going on? You know, but it was just a moment in time where he was just, you know, God was just letting me know, you know, you are talented, you have the giftings, you know, with song and singing and writing, but we're gonna go a different way. So, you know, I prayed about it, and, you know, he spoke to me, and it was just like, I had this idea. The idea like downloaded it. It was like, dude, okay, I see. And I spent time, you know, working on the project. I spent about a year working on it, and then coming back to it, you know, and saying, hey, it's still not right. We need to scrap some of this stuff, you know. So I really want to give a shout out to DJ Antonio Fresco and, you know, my guy Devin O'Bannon, my engineer / you know, songwriting partner. You know, we worked pretty hard on it at first, and they still stuck with me even after I said, hey, we need to scrap this and recreate it, you know, because it just didn't sit right. So you know, now it's at that place where, you know, it's ready to be set forth and to be like the forefront of, you know, just me as a new artist, you know, my first EP project, you know, and just me continually going forward with my career.
So yeah, I mean, from that, I do gather like faith and religion hold a really
Right.
like, close place to you, and like
Right.
it's something important, I feel like, in your music. And like we've talked about it before, it was very, very subtle though. Was that a conscious decision to have it subliminal like that, or did you just, it happened as you were in the process of recording?
Well, for me, what I've seen and what I've, you know, spoke with other people, you know, Christian music has a connotation, you know, that is that sometimes, you know, it can turn people away, or you know, people may not just be interested in listening to it. So I just wanted to create something that, I guess you can say consciously, where when I'm sitting down in these sessions and I'm writing, I know where the song is coming from, and it's more of, let me put this together in a way that people who are maybe non-Christian or don't believe in God can still listen to it, and maybe later ask, hey, what was that song about? Let's spark the conversation. At the end of the day, I want my music to reach people and to connect with them, motivate, inspire, bring them closer with their walk, if you may. I have some records on the project that clearly, talks about, us not being alone. There's hope, fighting through, just devoting, but they're not your typical ways. That's why I said AWOL. It's not your typical design on how a song like this would sound. You have to read into it a little bit to understand. And at the same time, I'm growing as well. Just as a person, as a man, as a man of God, I'm still growing. So, everything has its time. I come out the gate, just hey, and some people, their calling is to do that, but for me, I don't feel like my calling is there yet. It's still developing.
That makes sense for sure. And I really got that from your music too.
Right.
That sense that you're still working on yourself to get to that point that you want to be at.
Right. We're all working on ourselves, man. Every day we wake up, we're a new project in the works, everybody. So, it's just like, man, let me take these 5 records and kind of like show you guys, how I've been working on myself.
Well, following that, just on the surface and the way people react to the record as a body of music, do you indulge or allow yourself to really like experience that, like their response once the albums come out, or do you kind of just disconnect, take a few steps back and not really interact with that whole aspect?
That's a very interesting question, because artists want to be connected. You kind of want to see a reaction, like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And I think sometimes we can do that too much. What does everyone think? And then it takes away from us just naturally just creating and, us naturally just doing it from the heart, because now we have everyone else's perspective in mind, which is fine. Some people make music for the people, which you should. But at some point you have to make sure your music is coming from a place where it's just a genuine place, just you. That's it. So in answering your question, I would be interested on how people think about the project and what they think about some of the songs. But I will take everything with a grain of salt. Being that it is a different type of sound for me than my fans are used to. There may be some kickback, and it's cool. It's totally fine. I love all my supporters and fans. But just taking that AWOL step in the sound as well. So, I would disconnect, but I don't think that's a good idea to fully disconnect.
Now moving on to the whole aspect of you being an independent artist and just making a path for yourself, what does that entail when you say that you're an independent artist? Like, what does your routine look like? Because you don't have someone breathing down your neck necessarily telling you like, this is my deadline, this is what I need to do. How do you set those rules for yourself to maintain that work ethic?
I think it's just a goal that you set for yourself as an independent artist. It's very difficult. It can be very frustrating, but you just have to understand that there's an end goal to this. There's a place you want to get to. There's a timing for you as well. There's a timing for your music to be a certain place. There's a time for you to be a certain place. So it's just creating and taking your time and understanding what taking your time means.
Can you remember or describe the first time you realized that creating was something that you had to do, or that was, or the series of moments that led up to you being like, this is what I'm meant to do, put out a message in music, and like what made that defining moment where you're like, this is what I have to do.
Right. Well, at a young age, I was always in love with music. always, I'll be that kid that was like 11, like buying albums, with my cassette tapes. I think I just gave you my age, but but I was always that guy, and just learning and listening, and I built a foundation with the music by mimicking the artists that I grew up on. But it was just like, well, I need to find me. What's my identity? Where do I lie? So I would say, honestly, within these past 2 years, I've been finding closer, and with this project, now starting to say, okay, this is what, like I said before, this is what the gift was created for. I was created to use this gift to bring people closer to God, or even just introduce God to them, or introduce that a change, introduce to them that there's power in certain things, and there's hope for certain things. Mm-hmm. So I would say within the last year, 2 years, I realized what it is. Now it's just, like I said, purpose. Mm-hmm. Putting it in action and going forth with it.
Now, following that, can you give me a rundown of your process or your ideas that come about when you're making these songs, piecing them together? And specifically, I was thinking about the track "Thinking of You."
Oh, right.
Because when I first heard it, I was automatically in my mind, I was thinking of a female presence, of some lost love that you're thinking about. But then through a couple listens, I really got the sense of that there's something more to that it's not about that female presence, but about more of another type of presence.
Right. That's good. Well, that's what the song was intended for. Earlier this year, my church, we did a fast called the Daniel fast, and we're not eating any food for a certain amount of time, and then but we're supplementing it with prayer and reading the word. So the song was pretty much like a love song. It's a love song, and it's just talking about just having God on my mind. Let him know, hey, I think about you. You're on my mind. Let me before I go to bed, let me pray, or I need you. Kind of like one of those cries. Those, that when you sing R&B, you're like, baby, come back, and one of those type of things. But it's not like one like a baby come back, but it's more like a, like, I just want to be close to you, like that type of record. So the instruments in it, it kicks off and it builds, and then it breaks out, and when it breaks out into this place of just like, like, yes, like this is that presence, this is that area I want to be in. After I drop this EP, I would love to just be on tour, just traveling, with other artists, younger artists, like-minded, also who are on the same path of getting this music and getting this type of art, taking it out of the four walls of the church, reaching people in the world, inspiring people in the world. So even across the world, different, there's some records I have that can be, DJs have played or whatever, but I just see myself just touching just people. That's all I really want to do anyway. Let this music touch you. Let me be a conduit for God to touch you through this music. And let my life reflect that. Let my walk reflect that.